Hello, hello, hello. And Rob Lang is here, the good old live streamer. Yeah, I was thinking I had time this evening, so I was thinking I was doing some game dev anyway, and I'm actually working on something that is kind of visual, at least something where you hopefully can see some kind of progress, even if you are not a game developer. So I'm working on, I think I said in the last live stream, I'm working on making the existing maps work, and in relation to that, also making destruction work in multiplayer. And you might think, okay, well, the default maps, they work. We played them in single player, so what's the problem? Well, the problem is for multiplayer to be, hey, let me put it this way. You can't play the normal maps in multiplayer if I just enabled it. But very quickly you would see that it would be a weird experience because nothing is synchronized. So if one player moves a chair, other players won't see it. So things will very quickly come totally out of sync. And explosions and fire would only happen on only on the host and not on clients, and it would be weird. So I'm working on making that work. And it's not as simple as it might sound, but I made progress and it is actually starting to work. So let's start up with a little demo of where I am, and then I need to figure out, and actually I don't know how long you will stay, Rob, but I have actually a developer question for you, maybe on a conceptual level. But let me show you what I have right now. Right now I everything. Right now I'm actually not doing anything really smart, or I'm not faking stuff, and I need to test this out in a bigger game than only a host to the left and a client to the side with a little more players. Because right here when I'm playing it, even though I'm connecting over the Unity relay service, so it should be kind of a real life even though it's on the same computer, and it's working very well, but I don't know what will happen when we get a lot of players in here. But let me show you what I have right now, and then we take it from there. Having a saucy YouTube live display? What do you mean, Jonago? Okay. We can go with the Simpsons characters. I really like Mr. Burns. That's just a mod. It's not a in-game thing. It was just for the fun of it. But maybe I should change the... It's like, but that's funnier. So anyway, the characters is just for fun. It's just a mod. So what you can see here is that I'm on the client on the right here. You can see I put in the flat map here, I put a lot of fences. Maybe we should make it day so it's a little easier to see. So I put in a lot of fences here. And that is to test... that is really to test things that are in a scene when you load it. It becomes very technical, but I'm just trying to explain what's going on here. Apparently in the netcode for game objects that I'm using for Unity, there's a difference between items that are spawned dynamically and then network objects that are placed in the scene. So in scene network objects. Yes. Because previously it was, and it becomes very more complicated, as I also talked with you before, Rob Lang. They actually have some built-in system to handle this, but I can't use that because I need to load up custom maps from modders. So I need to have things happen dynamically, meaning I have to do part of this myself. Unity have lately updated the NGO after I asked for it, because it was super complicated and couldn't actually be done before. But in the latest 1.8.1, and 9 is the latest, but the 1.8, they actually fixed something, so it is easier now to make it work. But so in scene, things that are placed in the scene that should be network enabled have to be a prefab. And that prefab have to be registered in the network manager's prefab list. So these are actually scene objects, Rob. These, if I open up the scene in Unity without being in play mode, all of these, both these houses and all these fences, are actually placed in the scene, because that's how you build a scene, right? But as you will also see now, they are also synchronized. You can see over to the right here on the client, you can see that I'm moving this too. That's a new thing you couldn't before. And I can also, and basically how it works is that this is a prefab, and I'm registering. Right now I have to upfront tell my map definition what network prefabs I have in the scene, so it knows how to synchronize it. And that is where my question comes in a little later, Rob, if I can do something dynamically, because I have an idea. But anyway, okay, so you can see this is working. This is a new thing, right? That was not too easy to make work, but that actually worked. And now I just need to go through the scenes, find everything that is something that can be moved in the scene, which is a lot. Are you live on YouTube? Yes, Justin, I'm live on YouTube and Twitch. And then I need to go and do all these things, and maybe I can automate something with some scripts. Blah, blah. Anyway, I figured out it actually works, and the logic I have for these will also work on all other stuff in the game. Then we can talk performance, but I'll figure out how that works when I get to it. So after making this work, I was like, okay. Next up is that in the normal game, you can destroy these things. So this one can be destroyed, which opened up a totally new chapter of insanity. Because, let me get here. Let's do it like this. Because that means that this network prefab actually have another prefab of this one being broken, that it needs to replace at the same time on the host and on the client. So both of them see the broken thing, and that broken thing, all the pieces of that, I could maybe get around not synchronizing that, but right now that is also synchronized, which gives this gives the impression that it breaks on everything, because it actually do break on everything, and everything is synchronized. So let's try something here just to see it happen. And this is where the game so now it broke into pieces. It doesn't spread out the debris yet, because there's something I need to do, but it breaks. So if I throw in this one now, these should be, they should fly away on both the host on the left and the client on the right. So, okay, not too much, but anyway, okay. So what is actually happening is that when the scene loads, I have a script on the original fence here that tells it that this is destructible and tells what prefab it needs to spawn when this is being destroyed. That prefab it's then registered in the network prefab list and also added to a network object pool. so that these are prepared ahead of time so that it can spawn right away without any super lag or CPU, not spikes, yeah, well, spikes. So that should happen kind of, instant. So this was one. Let's try and do something else here. Let's try and take one of, I don't think, yeah, that's another thing. The clients cannot move the debris. I actually don't know why right now. I haven't looked into it. I just saw it yesterday. But maybe I will make it stay like that again to avoid it. Depends a little on how the performance will be when I get this all up and running and have all objects and whatever. So let's just take another one here. And then let's fly up in the air so we can better see. So now we have Bart standing up here, looking down here. And then we can have Mr. Burns be the bad guy here. So let's just... Why is there no sound? Have I... No, okay. Okay, there is sound. It's just very low on my machine. So all of these fences are actually network objects that are just statically placed right now. They should have client network prefabs, Konako. So it's not that, it's something else, but it's not that important right now. So again, if you look over here to the right, you can see Mr. Burns running around over here. And in a moment, you should see some of these things being destroyed. Oops. So now it's being destroyed. And the host can still move the debris around, but the clients can't. But I think we can live with that for now. That's okay. But you can see it's synchronized. Client standing up there, and you can see all of these here. And the same principle is actually used on the houses. So if we do like this, we should hopefully see some mayhem. Maybe we should just leave a trail down here. I don't think I actually, I haven't tried with all of them at once, but let's try and see what happens. It's a little laggy now because I'm running 2 clients and have OBS running. So it is a little hard on my machine, but it's running okay still. So let's see here. Mr. Burns is going, let's just turn this here. See Mr. Burns running here with all his, okay, you can't see, yeah. That's another thing, it's for performance reasons. You can see Mr. Burns, if you look to the right, you can see Mr. Burns running here, but you can't see all these. That's because to optimize network traffic, you can't really see, I'm making it so that the clients can't see dynamically spawn stuff that is further than 40 meters or something right now. Okay, let's see what is fix. Yeah, okay, so let's see here. Yeah, it's a lot of network objects, a little more than in your clumper, I guess. So let's see what happens. Oops. So you see one of the houses broke. But that's because they have a pretty high threshold. They don't just break instantly. So you can see it's also destroyed here. We can even put... Oops. So it's kind of working. The question is, how will this work if we are 5 players or 10 players, and if we have even more objects in the game? But the good thing is that it is working, and it's running pretty okay. We can actually try something else. If we take these are where there's the most things. And actually maybe these debris should actually maybe also be added to that list of objects that is being like called for clients. But at the same time, if you couldn't see all this debris from a client, you wouldn't feel that chaos thing. So let's take a look here. So we're on the client, and now we can see some network traffic debugging thing here, which looks pretty okay right now. Of course, when the player moves around, it peaks because it needs to transfer some animations and some precision thing. Let's try and do this now. And let's see what happens. So let's see here. So why do we see, it's actually weird why the client see these objects, because they should be more than, okay, now they stop disappearing. Okay. You can see now, you can't see them over here, again, due to that optimization thing, but that's fine. By the way, if I place it statically, you can see it because it's not moving then. Whoops, you can see, so you can see it. But anyway, something you don't have to worry about. But let's see the traffic now. It will go bonanza, but for a short while. Let's see. So 600 kilobytes per second for like 2 seconds or something like that. Yeah, I don't have too many viewers on Twitch, but I'll live. Thanks, Jesus. Okay, I can't see anything than smoke here, but behind the smoke somewhere, I should see debris in a moment. Yes. But there's also a lot. We talked about, performance and stuff like that, and I'm pretty sure I have more fences here than I have fences in the town map. So I think I am pushing the limits already with this little test thing, but it kind of works okay. And again, as I said, this is running via the Unity relay, so it's not like, I have a local host to local host thing, because that can hide some things. Isn't a lot. Your computer is sending and receiving and running to. Well, the 600 kilobytes is for the game purely. I'm pretty sure. It's for netcode only. Hello, Vaik. I don't know how to say it. Yeah, exactly. My main concern about that traffic is that if 2 players are connecting, now 1 out of 2 clients are connecting, the host needs to send 1.2 megabytes per second. If 3 clients is connected, it needs to send 1.8. So it doesn't scale super well, but that's how it is. It's for a short while, and if some of the packages are lagging a bit in all this chaos thing, it's okay. But we have to test that out with some more players and see how it works. And this lagging thing, I'm feeling it's lagging now. My FPS is low here on the host, but I have that problem often when I'm running OBS too. So it can be just OBS being funny. Which it is right now, because why is it? It's using 40% of my GPU. Okay, that's maybe okay when I'm streaming. That's maybe okay. So yeah, anyway, so I'm not so concerned about the FPS thing right now. Yes, Jesus, jeg dansk. Jeg dansker. Ej, jeg er fra Danmark, bare rolig, no problem. Yeah, but people's graphics card won't lag as much as me. I'm running, as you said, I'm running 2 instances of Unity, 2 clients, streaming via OBS, blah, 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 blah. Google Translate. Okay, so you are not even Danish. So anyway, so this is working. Let's see. But my major concern, by the way, not the major concern, but I always want to keep the traffic down, Rob, but especially because I'm paying for it, all the traffic in the relay. So, but it's even when it was peaking in the December here and January, it wasn't that bad. But we also have to remember that only very, very few people play the multiplayer compared to the normal version. So it will go up a lot. But it's okay. It's okay. But I was thinking if I could do something. I know in netcode, in NGO 1.9.1, they have some new thing, and we talked about it before also, Rob Lang, about it's not client prediction, but they have some new network variable or something that is kind of I can't remember the name. Adapting? No, something else. And I was reading briefly about it, and I think it's something where you can have a network variable that you can do some custom logic to say when it should update. So like I could have that one on all the debris, for instance. So I could say, okay, this doesn't have to update for the first 3 seconds of the life of this prefab or this debris. It should only update its position once per second, and it should just keep the direction from the first position and direction and force speed, it got, or something like that. So it can do some kind of, maybe some client prediction, because that way I could save a lot of bandwidth. If I could just say, okay, there's all these debris clients, these are going this direction, blah, 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 blah. Go calculate that for a second or so, and then I send you a new package of information. That could take down the traffic a lot. And again, in the chaos of things flying around, it's not really important that it's super precise until it kind of settles down. So things are placed the right places. BioNTech, I don't know if I'm actually, this this version of the game is, meaning the one I'm showing here, is upgraded to not the latest version of Unity, but a newer version than Unity, than the version you have access to in Steam right now. So maybe they fixed something there, but let's see. No, it's not predictive. It's something else. I can't remember the name. Just give me a second. I can see it in. I guess I can see it in the change log in here. It's called anticipated network variable, which adds support for client. I can show it here actually. Which adds support for client anticipation of network variable values, allowing for a more responsive gameplay. So it also have an anticipated network transform, which has support for client anticipation network transform. So I guess it's something where it actually, yeah, like we talked about, client prediction or something like that. Yeah, exactly. And that's also why, Rob, I'm not gonna spend too much. Now I'm finding out as a way to make this work. And then, I optimize when it's a problem. It's something like, what is it to say? If don't optimize until you have the problem, then wait a little longer and then you optimize or something like that. But anyway, so what I was actually thinking, I would check the stuff in I have right now. And then, so I have kind of a, I always code in like baby steps. So I do a one little thing to get to a new point in time or get to a new state. And that state is not the final state, but it's just like, the next little step forward. And a step forward can also be deleting a file or changing a name or something like that, but it's a tiny baby step in the right direction. And I usually commit every time that happens because it also gives side of a sense of progress to keep motivating and being motivated. And it also gives kind of a clean slate in the pending changes. So you don't end up with a commit with 200 files that have changed and you can't know anything. Anyway, that was kind of a game developer little tip here. Okay, it depends, Rob. This commit has been open, like these pending changes I have now has been open for like since yesterday. I usually do it in this little way where every time I kind of get to a tiny milestone. Again, as I said, it can be renaming a file, it can be deleting a file, it can be renaming a scene, it can be adding a new class that does something. It's kind of a next little step I tend to commit. Again, because if you just do enough of these tiny steps forward, you end up having a full game eventually. Anyway, so what I don't like about this new system, as I said, there is two things. There is in-game placed, we can also see it here. Show you here. So here you can see the scene. This is the flap map scene, and these are actually placed inside the map. Because that's how you build maps and that's how you used to build maps. And I'm also trying to think ahead because mod creators need to be able to do the same eventually. So as you can see here, all these fences, prefabs here they have kind of a destruct thing. Right now it have an old name for the old destruction thing. I was using something called destroy it, but I have to redo the logic for that I'm using because I need to do it multiplayer and I don't want to change the source code of this one to make that work. So I'm just I think I will end up just skipping that package and then just have my own, because I'm also really using a fraction of what it can do. So I rather build my own, and the good thing about that is that I can then also expose that to mod creators so they can do the same thing with having things that can be broken into pieces in custom maps or in modded maps. Anyway, so and now comes the question, Rob. So the way my game works is that when you have a map, and that is the truth for built-in maps and for modded maps, because I made it in the same way. So I'm kind of, using my own medicine to test things are working. It's not completely the same, but it's close to the same. So each map in my game have a map definition. So the flap map have a definition here with a name, description that I don't use, and thumbnails I should actually remove because I don't use that anyway. A name, blah, 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 and some settings for weather, blah, 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 blah. Then I also added this one. So here I have to define all the prefabs that my scene have that is multiplayer enabled, because these needs to be loaded in dynamically when the scene is loaded, or actually maybe before. I can't remember if it's before. I don't think it matters actually. It just needs to happen before the host is started and before the client tries to join. These needs to be added to the network prefab system so that the client and host can synchronize. All fine. But as you can imagine, this is right now a pretty manual task because I need to know that I added this one, and I need to know that it's this prefab, and then I need to go into blah blah blah. Where is it? Yeah, you can see already the problem. I need to go into here and I need to add it here. Blah. Okay. And right now it's only 4 and I could just keep doing this. But I know I will have tons of these. So I really don't like this manual approach. So I have 2 things I can do. I was thinking I could do some kind of right-click context thing that would then go through the current open scene, find all the network objects in the map, and then find a prefab for that. Yeah, exactly. Dynamically building. No tool for dynamically building prefabs. No, I don't want to dynamically build a prefab. But the thing is, at runtime you can't. At runtime you cannot take this in-scene game object and figure out what prefab it's coming from. That's not possible runtime. But you can edit time. You can find this out. So I think I could do a right-click method somewhere here, context thing, and then say populate list from current open scene or whatever. And then it would run through the current open scene, find all the network objects via Unity's built-in editor tools, figure out what prefab this is coming from, do some validation that is actually, have network object, blah, 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 and then add it to this list. Because then I and mod creators would only have to go into the definition and right click and do this every time they kind of make changes. So that's the editor. That's the editor version of solving this problem. Because adding it manually, as I'm doing right now, I don't want to keep doing that because it doesn't scale very well. So I have to fix this. Another approach is the runtime approach, which I'm actually doing for the destructible things. So you can see here this fence thing have this. I'm gonna rename this component here, but this component that is handling the destructive part have a reference to the prefab that it needs to spawn when it's being destroyed. And due to this setup where the component have a reference to the actual prefab, in this case that it needs to spawn when it's destroyed, I can at runtime go through the map that I'm loading. When it's loaded, I can search for all game objects that have this particular component. Then I can take the prefab and dynamically add it to that prefab list. I know I'm losing 95% of the audience here, but Gonako and Rob Lang might get what I'm talking about. But I'm just gonna explain it and then you might learn something. Anyway, so the cool thing about this is that I don't have to do anything other than build the map, put this component on, of course build the prefab with the destruction, blah, 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 blah. Because this prefab here, there's some work involved in, separating these things and hooking it up and adding components, yada, yada, yada. But that's all fine. I have to do that anyway. We can't get around that. So the beautiful thing about this one is that it's dynamic and I don't have to do anything. The game just do it when it loads the map. It runs through, find all of these, take the prefab and add it to that list. I can even show the code just to scene loading manager is the name. And then I have a populate. So here I have a populate method that does something. Anyway, you can see I have this one liner here, and you can also see I have tested a lot of stuff with all this uncommented code, commented out code, but it's ended up with being this line, populate object pool async, and it's done on the destruction. object pool, which is not a network object. It's actually a normal object because it needs to happen on client and host. And this thing that doesn't need to be synchronized as such is something that each needs to have. Anyway, the way it works is just that it finds all the again, this name is wrong. I want to rename it, but to avoid changing thousands of prefabs right now, I haven't renamed it yet. So it finds all of these and then check if there is anything, then do some broadcast, blah, 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 blah. And then it takes this destroyed prefab, which is this one over here. And then it added to the pool. And then I have a pooling system, object pooling system here, partly built into netcode for game objects. Anyway, the pooling system is not that important. But this is the way it's done here. So this works in a dynamic way, which is very nice. But as I said, I can't do that with these prefabs that are network object and are in here, because I cannot find the prefab from this one. I cannot figure out what prefab this object is coming from at runtime, as far as I know. Hello, MC. And now we come to the question, Rob. To solve this problem, I was thinking I could really have a component that I, in the editor, put on this prefab that at editor time makes a reference to the prefab that it's coming from, so that I could have basically end up with a script that have this reference just for this prefab, if that makes sense. Because if I did that, then I could do it dynamically, and then I would avoid having to do this. Boom. But I don't know if it's possible. Does it make sense? So I have made it work. Now it's a matter of making it easier to work with, both for me as the game developer, but also for modders. So the first approach is manually add all of these to here. Don't want to do that. That's what I'm doing now, just to see if it works. And it works, so that's fine. Second step is to have a right click that find all of these at runtime, or sorry, at the editor time in the open scene and add it to this list. I'm doing that in some other cases, like with the sound system here, for instance. All of these sounds, I think I have a method called populate, and then it runs through, find all the game sounds in the game, and then add it to this list, blah, 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 blah. So something similar to that. Or the last one, which is the runtime, where I don't have to do anything other than remember to, on my prefabs here, put this in-scene network prefab object thingy, whatever. Does make sense, like a grid that every prefab has that is used as reference. No, it's not. No, it's not actually a grid. I think I could do it just like I'm doing here. You see, this script have a reference to the prefab. In this case, we are in a prefab right now, and this one is pointing to another prefab. It's not the same prefab, but really, I could have a script that had a reference to the prefab that I'm actually in. No, Rob, it's not actually that hard to debug, I think, because because I can throw out some errors saying this one is missing blah 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 and point to it with a name or something. So I think that's okay. Yeah, if you're a map maker, I want to know about the issues when I'm building the map. The problem is you won't know that as a modder, I can only validate and help you so much in Unity. You can't, as a mod creator for Fireworks Mania, you can't really test your map in Unity. So the workflow is that you're doing changes in Unity, go up to the mod tools, build the map, and go out of the map in the game and go into it again. The game picks up that the mod has been refreshed. So you just exit the map and enter the map again, and then it loads the new version. And this is the way you debug. And I think many games work like this when it comes to modding, unless it's something really, really fancy. And I think that works okay. Amnesty and Gonargo have a lot of experience with that, and it kind of seems to work okay. I can't really do anything other than that, because, you know, all the surrounding logic, all the real complicated logic around doing all these things is not part of the mod tool, so I can't run that in editor, because that will eventually be me sending out the entire game code to everybody. That's not what I want to do. So I can only test it really in the game. So Gonargo, what are you saying? But just to be sure, the way you spawn something, guessing the pool is instantiating a game object, describing the pool. Yeah, the object pooling, and this is another thing. I did a lot of testing with the object pooling, also for the fireworks. But the problem is that the way the object pooling works right now, and I haven't really investigated, but the sample I found on the official network for game objects doesn't handle state. So it's kind of only built for something that never goes really, that can be changed. So let me give you an example. So you put up three mortars. I did that test actually. So you put up 3 mortars and put a different shell in each of them. Then the client walks away. That despawns a lot of these. When he gets far away, it despawns. When he gets back, he just get a notification that that a mortar of the size of 6 or whatever, this mortar needs to spawn. And then the pooling system just finds one of them in the pooling system and spawns at that location. But that's a problem, because the one that is spawning might have then another shell than it was before. So the state is not synchronized. I could maybe work around that, but I have skipped that for now because the game has been working okay so far without a object pooling system for the fireworks part, and also a pooling system for the fireworks might not scale very well because, hello Rick, thank you for following, might not scale so great in this game because we, as you know, with all the Amnesty stuff, we can have thousands really of fireworks items in the inventory, and if I just need to create 10 pre-warmed objects, it takes a long time to load, and many players will not spawn 90% of it anyway. So right now I've skipped the object pooling system for the fireworks, and I'm only using it now for this thing, because this one here I'm using the pooling system to pre-warm prefabs that are spawned once, so that I can spawn it quickly. This destruction thing never goes back into the pool, if that makes sense, because it's not like you are building a house up again after you broke it, then you restart the map. So therefore it works now. And again, I need to keep it as simple as possible so it works. It needs to be as simple as possible, so it's just good enough so I can make it work as it did in the single player game, if that makes sense. Do you think we see Guandolas? I don't know what that is. Yeah, but Guanaco, I'm not using a pulling system for the fireworks, so it's very easy to explain. I don't right now. And if I eventually do this, I will explain how it works, because I need to come up with a system to make it work. Again, as I explained before, because there are no state. So there's no state in this way of pulling I'm using. So I just know that I need to spawn this prefab. I don't know if it was before green or red or white. It just takes one of them. Don't know if it makes sense. The mortar is the better example, actually. Because a mortar, you can put a random shell into it, and when it's being spawned again, if the client moves away and moves forward again, it just takes one from the pool. And that one that it's placed in the right place, and the mortar is also the right one, you know, because that it know the rotation and position and what type of prefab it is. But the one it got from the pool might have shell A, and before, when you were at this position, you actually put a shell C in it, and that will be super confusing. So yeah, it's a spinning UFO style firework. Take a peek around it. Okay, yeah, I don't have any plans to make any fireworks as such right now, because I'm more spending my time on building kind of the game and framework, and then because modders are basically much better at making fireworks than I am. So I'm just building, right now at least, I'm just concentrating on building features, multiplayer, and the framework for modders to create fireworks, because it scales much better. They can do much more and better than I can. So, yeah, Rob, exactly. Preference would be runtime with a component. I think that's also because if you get to one that doesn't work, then, you know, I can also, I can actually, you know, when I'm loading the map and finding I need to look for all the game objects with a network object on it. When I do that at runtime, then all of the ones I'm finding where I cannot find this component that my game requires, I can log out. This one is missing this component. This won't work multiplayer. Good luck. High five. Have a nice day. And that comes up in the console. And so when the modders are creating these things and I'm creating the maps, you'll just get a list of things that is not gonna work, and you can just fix it one at a time. So I think I want to take that approach too. And I think I want to try it out right now. But let me first check in what I have here. I just need to check. So I have changed some of these. Yeah, okay, I can go through that. That's fine. The main menu we don't want. This one is fine. This one is fine. And we have these as a test, and we have this one. Shade of that. That's okay. And this one needs to be renamed, and it's despawning now, and that's fine too. So as you can also see with all this uncommented out code, it's like, yeah, I'm really trying it out. But that's also how I'm doing it. You know, make it work, and then go back and then take it apart and make it simpler and easier to figure out. Straight. Okay. Let's just say. These are only in the flat map right now. I'm just testing out stuff. Its flat map is not it's gonna be as it used to be. It's just easy for me to just use that as a testing point, because it's stripped for everything else. Okay, so let's do something. Let's do some quick testing here. So we have a script. Let's go comment, or is it? No, that's gonna be a core thing, and the other one's gonna be a core thing too. A core, by the way, these are all the scripts that are that is kind of the core thing, and that is what is shared with the mod tools too. So this component, of course, needs to be there, but the script, the destruction thing needs to be there too. But I haven't moved it yet because yeah. So let's see, not behaviors, common maybe. Yeah. So now comes the tricky part of being a developer, naming things. In-scene network object. Nah. The client might have a different version. That is not gonna work. So, and it's rarely gonna happen because the game checks for update pretty often. I haven't done a specific version check right now. I should do that really. So that right now I'm just sending a list of when a host starts, a part of the lobby is a list of it's a list of mod IDs that the client needs to install and update before trying to join the host. So that's the way I'm synchronizing, and that's why it's so easy to join, because you just join a server and the game figures out what mods you have and then it loads that. So that works really well. What I need to add to that is also including the version number of the mod. So exactly to avoid the thing where the host have the version 1.0 and the client comes and joins later, and in the meantime the mod of the map has been updated, so the client get version 2. Because that will cause problems. But it's right now I haven't spent time on fixing that issue because it's a very rare thing. It's not something that will happen very often. Anyway, so that scenario, Rob, is not really a problem. But you're totally right. If it happens, it's a problem, because then they won't have the same prefab list, and then the client will have a lot of prefabs it can't spawn and you can't see, and it will be a total nightmare. But it's a bet I'm willing to do right now in the interest of time. Anyway, so let's see. In-scene network object. That's a bad name. So what is it? This component it should only have one thing. It really only holds the reference to the prefab of this network object. So in-scene network object prefab. Reference. Damn, it's a bad name. Yes, that's because I'm Danish. Rødgrød med fløde. Different version of yeah, have fun, Rob. See you. And I will try and join your live stream next time. By the way, Rob Lang is another game developer building a game called Clumper, where you control a big ladybird and you are inside the ladybird. That sounded wrong, but it's a huge mechanical one. You are inside, or it's a small one really. I don't know, but anyway, you are inside this Clumper, and then you control it with Steam thing, and you need to go around and pick up scrap to build stuff and upgrade stuff or something like that. So Rob is building that game. So you can go and follow him on YouTube and Twitch. And he's also an old man like me, 40 plus. With kids and all, so we are in the same boat. Anyway, We don't all have all the time you have, Konako. Inseam network update. It's a terrible name. When game coming to consoles? I don't know. Sometimes it's something I want to do, but it's not in the near future at all. Multiplayer is the focus right now. It will be at some point where the game is more complete. I'm still having way too many things I want to change, and as soon as I port the game to more platforms, the development speed will just go down like crazy, because I have to test it on all the stuff every time I make a change, or at least every time I want to release a change. And also the process of putting an upgrade. I don't know anything about Xbox and PlayStation. I haven't tried it before, but I've tried it with Apple apps and the Google Play Store, and going through that review process of putting out an update and all that is just a lot of time and work each time. Where on Steam, I just make a build, press a button, I've set it up so I only just press a button, do a few things, boom, then it's out on Steam. So it's very easy. Yeah, VR is most likely gonna be a thing before consoles, to be honest. Biotech. Yeah, that's another thing Konako mentioned there. Mono will work on consoles too. Yeah, it will never work on console, I guess. The game will also, due to the way I have done a little research, and the game and the way console, Xbox and at least PlayStation works, Switch, I guess. We will be these platforms will be more limited in terms of mods. None of Gonako's crazy mods that do crazy things with custom scripts will work on these. Simply due to some technical stuff on how I need to build the game for them. But Amnesty's basic, all the stuff working with the built-in components that I provide in the mod tools, they should work. But not all the crazy fun stuff. But that's a talk for the future. Ryan, hello Ryan. It's for anti-cheat purposes. Yeah, I guess so. And for the consoles to be more sure what they are putting out, Yeah. When you say VR, do you also include the Meta Quest 2? To be honest, again, I haven't done anything. I haven't looked into it at all. But if I'm doing, when I'm doing the port for VR, I will for sure aim for Quest first. Quest 2 and 3, I guess, depending on, maybe at that point it might be Quest 4 or whatever. But anyway, because as far as I know, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Quest is the biggest one, right? That's the I of course want to make the game for the devices that are sold the most, so most people can get their hands on it. Yeah, but still, Konako. Yeah, one thing is the OpenXR and how to build the game. That's one thing, but it's also what platforms you are pushing out the game to in VR. But yeah, for sure, Quest 2 and 3, and I actually have both, so it's just a matter of time and priority to get to look into it. Will this game is realistic real soon? What do you mean, Ryan? Will this game? I'm not sure what you mean. The graphic won't change to be realistic. No, the basic game will stay low poly, cartoonish, fun and silly. But with mods, you can get very realistic, Ryan. I don't know if you tried the multiplayer version, which is the new version that I've been working on for the past 1.5 years. Amnesty at least have built some realistic maps that look realistic. Kel'Thuzar have made, and Gunaco maybe, I can't remember if you make realistic, but at least Kel'Thuzar have made some realistic character mods, and Amnesty have also built realistic fireworks, so you can get pretty realistic. The only thing left really is the tools like the torch and stuff like that, and I haven't made that moddable yet, but that is also the plan to do that, so you can have kind of more like a normal lighter or whatever. I know Gunaco made it for the single player, but it's not working in multiplayer. New maps for me, at some point, yes. But as I also said previously, I'm not focusing so much on content right now because I'm spending my time trying to make multiplayer work and mod tools work so modders can build stuff. That's more my focus right now. But I do for sure plan on adding more maps in the same style as we have now, like with the town and range and all that. Yes, I want to do that, but it won't be anytime soon, I think, because I simply don't have time. It takes a long time because when I'm doing built-in maps, I have to do a lot of work to, as I'm showing you now with destruction thing, for things to burn and be destroyed and all that, I have to do a lot of stuff to make that work. I have to actually take a house apart and make the different parts that it needs to be blown into and put that together, blah, 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 and do stuff. No, this is not my full-time job. This is just a spare time thing, and that's why I'm doing this at 8. I can see it. It's 8:30 in the evening now. So no, it's not my full-time job. If I'm lucky, I have 1-2 hours a day, but I don't have that every day, of course. Yeah, 8:26 p.m. Yes, exactly. Fungus cartoony graphics literally is the game's personality. Yeah, exactly, and it's gonna stay like that. But again, for modders can and have done a lot of realistic stuff, and that's the beauty of modding, because somebody wants it realistic. Then Amnesty is a realistic. He want to place it realistic. That's why he made a realistic map, realistic fireworks, and all that. Where personally, I'm more to this fun and silly explosion thing. But again, with mods, we can have both in the same game. Okay, let's get back to giving this a name. Okay, is the delay low? It's low on Twitch, so Twitch shows up before YouTube. Are there any games that you have taken inspiration from? Yes, Gmod and Rust, really, to be honest. The physics tool is from, I needed to figure out a way how you could handle, interact and move around the fireworks in the game. And after some research, I ended up on a physics tool similar to what we have in Gmod, for instance. Now it's building a thing, and it's the wrong name. It shouldn't be called this. It's a bad name. In-scene network object. We could also just leave it at that. Let's leave it at this just for now, and then and let's see what happens. Yeah, and the menu in the game is inspired. The way the menu, the UI in the new menu here is inspired. That's really from Rust. Like they have these columns of things to kind of use the width of, because most people have widescreens, you know. So in-scene network prefab. Yeah, in-scene network prefab reference. Yeah. Let's go with that. Let's try that. In-scene network prefab reference. Okay. I might change it anyway. I can't really make up my mind on what it's called. Anyway, let's go in here and let's rename this to this one, and then let's put it into the right namespace. Boom. And let's do it this. Okay, so what this needs to have is it needs to have a serialized field. Whoops. Which is a reference to a prefab. Network object. Network object prefab. Just prefab. Prefab. We'll just do like this, and then we do a. But I'm gonna do something smart, I think. But let's just do it. A reference to the actual prefab. This game object is based on a reference to the prefab of this game object. It will make sense in a moment. So now first I want to try this out with where I do a manual reference to this, as I will show you in a moment. But later on I want to do something else. Oops. I want to make it so that when you add this component, because this is something you will do in the editor anyway, in editor, I can actually do some unvalidated stuff that I think finds the prefab of the object that it's on, and then set this one automatically. But let's try out with the simplest approach first, which is just me setting it manually. Okay, so this is it. Boom. Yes, so now we go into Unity here, and then, yeah, let's see. And because I just checked in my again, this is a little developer tip again, because I just did a check-in before a commit before, I only have a few changes now. So I'm not afraid to try out things. Like, for instance, going into my resources, my map definition here, and basically just clear this one out. At least try and clear some of them out. So I want to clear out the wooden. So this destroyed, and and this one. So now the fence shouldn't be working. So let's try here. And just before we do anything, it's always a good thing to see it not working first and then fix it. So I haven't done anything. All I've did is I made a new script, didn't use it for anything, and I clear out my flat map definition, and I removed that fence thing. So now when I start a game and join from a client, the fences should not be spawning on the client. That's the hope. By the way, you can see here, this is what I mean. This is inspired by Rust with the menu out here and then having this one change here. And the setting is gonna, when I do the new setting UI, the settings will be kind of a new column here with like, you know, game, audio, graphics, blah, 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 blah. And then the actual list of things over here. So just a little information now that you ask for it. So, yep. How many are we with? 10 viewers. Okay, so we have 2 viewers on Discord, on Twitch, and 8 on YouTube. That's fine. Okay, so here we are on the host, and of course the host have everything, and we don't see any. There's one little error down here, but that's okay. But that's fine. It's for something else. It's something with the UI, and I know what it is. I just haven't fixed it yet. So let's do that, and let's go in here. And let's try and join. And now we should see a lot of issues over here. I guess we will see a lot of... we will be missing all the fences, hopefully. Let's see. Apparently not. Why not? I might know why. Okay, so this is still working. You see, that's why it's important to test. So why is this still working? Is it because it's adding it to this? Yes. And this is something new that have freaked me out many times now. Every time I don't know what, but when you do something with a prefab network, with a prefab that have a network object on it, it puts in this list, and this list is the base list of prefabs that both clients and hosts know. And then up top of this, I'm adding stuff dynamically. But as you can see, the fence is already in here, and that's why it was working. So I always need to go in here and remove this. And it's really annoying. And it just puts it back automatically if you do anything. But the problem is, if I was only doing the game myself without mods, this would be fine. I could just leave all my network prefabs in here and it would work fine. But because I'm loading in dynamic stuff from modders, I have to populate this one dynamically. Let's try it. And over here, most likely, yeah, it's also, but I can't save it over here. Oh, damn it. Okay, I have to reopen this one. That's a little annoying. So I have to reopen this one. And this is most likely because this parallel sync that I'm using here is not a built-in Unity thing. It's a third-party package that makes you open up another instance of Unity that is actually based on the same code project as the main one. And then you have an option to quicker test, multiplayer, because you have 2 Unity instances running on the same code. Where back in the days, you had to actually make a build of your game, start that one up, and then have the other one running in Unity and then connect to test. Very time consuming. In the newer Unity 6, they should have a built-in mechanism for this. So I don't know how it works, but I think I just have one Unity running, but then can have multiple instances of the actual build or game running. I don't know if that video link works. Oh, okay. I can't see any link here at least. I think it's maybe removed or something like that. Anyway, let's see. Again, it's very important. Okay, it's very important to always test stuff also when you expect it not to work. Because in this case, I was expecting it not to work, but it still worked. So I knew something was off. It's just so that when I, in a moment, fix it in a more dynamic way, I know that that actually works. And it's not just working because I didn't undid it right in the first place, if that makes sense. Passionsbrus. Passion sparkling, you could say. It's just a cheap soda thingy. Passionsbrus. It's passion, like passion fruit, and then brus is a Danish word for this. Okay, you can hear it. For sparkling thing. Yeah, but coffee's out. And it's too late to get a new one. Then I can't sleep. Okay, let's try and join again. Now that we removed that network prefab from the default network prefab list. So now you see the problem. So over here we now see a lot of issues because netcode failed to spawn network object hash blah blah blah. So basically it's telling that, you know, there's kind of 300 something or whatever different network objects that it can't spawn on the client. And the way it works is that the client is always starting after loading a map. It's removing all network objects from the scene because it's expecting to get them from the host because all of these needs to be synchronized. So it starts out removing everything, and that's why you don't see any fences now. So all the fences are gone. I can just run around, run through the fences. You can see to the left there that he's running through, and you can see the host that is standing up there is standing in the air because, yeah, I can't see the fence. So now it's working that it's not working. So now we can start to fix it. So let's try something. So the first step is let's go into the fences thing here, and all these fences are the same prefab. So I basically just need to go into one of them. Maybe let me just do like this so I have it selected so I know it's this one, and then go in here and then add this in scene network prefab reference, and then and now I have to pick the right one, this one up here. So now the prefab itself have a reference to its own prefab. So why does that make sense? That makes sense because in the scene hierarchy here, this is not a prefab. This is it's a prefab override. It's a in-scene game object basically, but it's coming from a prefab. But this one doesn't have a reference to the prefab at runtime. So I can't know what prefab it was coming from, if that makes sense. But now with this reference, see now it's doing it. You can see when I click this, this is the freaking problem I had before too. So it's pointing to this one. It should be pointing, yeah, and that's because, okay. So I don't know if you saw it, but it was referencing itself in here. It needs to, and let's go in here, and then let's do this, and then we go to assets and not the scene, and then we go to the prefab, this one, fence, wood, straight one, blah blah blah. And this is what I want to automate because you don't want to do this as a modder. Let's see. No, it still does it. What the fuck? Oh, I have this problem before. So maybe I have to do it dynamically. It keeps referencing to this one, and this won't work because this is not referencing the prefab, it's referencing the instance of the prefab from the scene. So fence, wood, Oh, but it's doing the same here. What? What's up with that? No, that's wrong, and that's why we can go back here and we can roll back stuff. Wait a second, let's see here. So let's discard these changes. Maybe it does work. Let's try. I think it's a Unity thing. Okay, anyway, so let's go in here, and then we go back in here, we go into the prefab, we go and add this in scene Eliza, yes, and this one, and then assets, and then we find the fence, wood, straight, and then we find the prefab, which is this one, and I have a reference, and then we save that, and then we go out here and find, and then we close on our scene. So now we should have a lot of objects with a reference to the prefab. Okay. So then we in not the destructible, let's do it in here. We're gonna take some logic from here, and then we're gonna do it here. Something like that. So basically what we want to find, let's say so what we're doing now is that we are, let me see a little better. So whoops, let's say in scene network object game objects, boom. In scene network object network prefab references. It's not a good name, but anyway, let's try this. And then we say in scene. So this is the component we just made, and this one have a reference to the prefab, hopefully, if everything works fine. I think I tried something like this before and it was working in Unity but was not working in a build or something like that. Can't remember, but anyway, all of this crap is not important right now. And here we said in scene network object, and it's blah 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 prefab reference. So we have this blah blah blah. Okay, then we say no, actually we could do it in a, okay, let's keep it like this for now. Then I can do some, we can do find all network objects in man and arrow out the ones doesn't have this prefab reference. It's just for making it easier. Anyway, so if this in reference the prefab or null, so if it's not null, the reference, then we do as we do up here. We do this. So we say if the network doesn't contain this game object, this prefab, then we add this prefab to the list of prefabs. Boom. And we don't want to do that. Else we can log out something. Let's just wait with that. So basically what should happen now, that or null thing, it's an extension method that I found a guy on GitHub that have some I can show you, I can put it in here. It's some extension methods, so like, because null is just not null in Unity, so it does some tricks to test if things are actual null and stuff, yeah, and uses some other extension methods. It's because a game object can actually not be null, but not actually be part of the game anymore. It might just not have been cleaned up. So therefore I can use this one instead, that is more kind of a more logical null that as you are used to. Anyway, so we find all the in-scene prefab objects. We can do some logging if we need to, but we won't do that right now. So we look for all of these. This is running after the scene, just to make sure. Client and host, it's running, blah blah blah. Here, set up lobby, setting up here, start host, blah blah blah, and that's happening here. So loading scene, blah, we load map coroutine, so the map is actually loaded here. We are doing some other stuff, and then as part of starting the host or starting the client, we are doing this thing. So before it starts, it runs all this logic. So that's fine. Here we are. So anyway, so this, at this point when this is called, the scene is actually, the map is actually loaded. And then we look in the scene, loaded scene, we look for all the objects that have the in-scene network prefab reference. And if there's more than 0 of them, if it actually found anything, we run through all of them and see if they have a prefab. And if they have a prefab, we check if that prefab have already been added to this network config prefab, which is the list of prefab that the NGO uses to kind of synchronize things. So if it's not containing that one, we just add it, and then we move on to the next one. So with this in place, we should now, but I think we run into, I kind of remember that I have tried something like this before, and there was this prefab reference issue that we saw before. But let's see. Let's see. I have some console methods that is working in Unity where I can see what is actually added to that prefab list. So we'll check that. Anyway, make it a bit bigger here. Here. So again, hopefully the host itself should work fine. And again, I don't know if you get the point, but yeah. No, null is not always null in Unity. I can't remember the exact explanation, but I have actually run into that problem. Where you think something is null and then you start using it, and you think it's not null and then you start using it, and then or you're doing something where you think something is not null and then it suddenly disappears or is null or something like that. And I think it's something with, like, you know, a game object, as I said before, can actually still be there in code, but not actually be part of the engine anymore. It just haven't been cleaned up by Mono or something like that. I think, but I don't know. We shouldn't start a host. God damn it. Yeah, exactly, like destroyed, you know, because when something is destroyed, you know, you want your logic to just think of it as being, you know, gone, but it can actually, it's not necessarily null right away. So let's try and join here. And here comes the interesting thing. So now the client is joining, and let's see if we see some fences. Ooh, that's interesting. Okay. It works. And let's just check that it's not part of this. Ah, oh, damn it, it's added in here again. Oh, fuck's sake. Let me do some other thing here. Let me say I have some other debug list. What is it I have? I have some methods list. Network prefabs. So this should list, yeah. So here we can see the problem. It's adding all of these with the numbers on it. And that's not correct. It still works, but it have way too many things in here. Because I think this is because it thinks that this number 59 is a prefab, but it's not a prefab. Luckily, the right prefab has also been listed here. This is the right one, I think. It's called 84. Fence wide grade straight, this one. Ah, okay, that's because it's running now. No, that's not the one. Let's just go back here. Just really want to make sure that it actually works. See, it's added here again. And this is, it's adding it here automatically to help me. The problem is that by adding it here, it looks like it works, but it doesn't. Well, it won't work when I get in maps from mortars and stuff like that. So that's not good. Let's see. Let's go again. Boom. Like that. Let's try again. Maybe there's a setting to turn that off. Project reference. Make of game objects. Generates. So what does that actually mean? Maybe I should check this off so it won't add to that. Let's see. Anyway, let's see. Yes, but somehow it knows. I don't exactly know how, but when it comes to spawning, only the actual prefab needs to be in that prefab list, and even if it's instance of this prefab, it somehow knows. I'm not exactly sure how. So see, there we have the problem again. It's not actually working. Oh, no. Come on. So here you can see these are the yeah, and here we can see the problem. The thing is that when I'm calling this command, it's running through all the prefabs that are in the prefab list. The problem is that it's running into this issue here because when the client was loading, it was taking the game objects in the scene and adding it to the list as a prefab. But because it's an in-scene network object, the client, as it's joining the host, is deleting all of these things in the game and expecting to get them, synchronized from the host. And therefore, they are suddenly destroyed and not there. But let's try something else. Let's try the more dynamic approach. But it will be a little more code intensive. So first off, let's go in here and let's try and uncheck this one. So let's hope it doesn't update this one with the prefab. Anyway, so let's go in here and then like a void on validate, I think it is. So let me Google something. There's some that's not it. There is some I can't remember. At least let's do something like this. If editor, because this is something that will only work in editors. We don't want to build that like that. There is something called prefab utility or something like that here. And then prefab is find no get get nearest prefab instant root no get prefab object. Use get prefab instant handle. Get prefab instance. Receive the prefab instant object of the outermost prefab instance that provided object is part of. Get outermost prefab instant root. Retrieve the game object that is the root of the outermost prefab instance of the object is part of. Is the game object the root of a previous instance? Maybe we should do like this. So I don't know. I don't know if this is working, but the thinking behind this is that this one. So this one only runs if I don't do this, and I don't know if it's working or not. My idea, the thing I'm thinking is that this onValidate is something that is running in Unity every time it kind of validates stuff before saving when stuff changes, yada yada yada. So it will run on all the components all the game objects that have this component. That also means all of the instances of this one in the scene. But we don't want it to update the prefab on all of them. We only want to update the prefab reference on the outermost one. So we say if, and I hope this is correct, if the one we are on, the game object we are on, if that is the outermost prefab instant root, so hopefully the prefab itself, then we set the prefab to the outermost instance of this one, which is itself. Maybe I could just set it to this game object actually, really. But let's see what happens. Get corresponding object from source. Yeah, maybe there's tons of methods in there. So let's, what if we, what if we load this one up? So here we can see it's doing it on all of them. Perfect. Not really. See, this is what we wanted to avoid. So set the network prefab to on delete, and you can see this is exactly what is wrong. It's setting itself, you know, the instance on itself, and that's what we don't want. We don't want that. So let's see, what were you saying? Get corresponding. Let's see, what is that one? Get corresponding. Or maybe we can actually, what if we did a breakpoint here? Okay, maybe I can. Okay, let's see. Okay, so this is 95. And why is that the outermost prefab instance root? But that is okay, the instance root. Okay, fair enough. But what we can do is that we can maybe do this intermediate window, and then we can say, whoops. So you were saying get corresponding from I don't know if we can do like this. Let's see. Fail to find a match for corresponding. Okay. Something with root. Find prefab root. That is deprecated. Retrieve the root game object of the prefab that is applied. Yeah, but I wanna use this. What can I use instead? These are all deprecated. Yes, but I wanna... What if we do like this? See, that's not right. Yeah, that's the plan, to destroy the houses. Yeah. Let's try and do some goo clean again. Find prefab route. But it's... Yeah, it's obsolete, but what should I use instead? For fuck. Prefab. See this one? I wanna know this one. See, that's not right. That's not correct. Come on, how freaking hard can it be? Please feel free to Google along with me how to find. I basically just want to find what prefab, and the thing is, I know Unity knows the answer because it shows right up here. You know, when I select one of these, you can see it's right there. So Unity knows this reference. How do I find it? Get out of motion. The outermost prefab instance route, but it's not the instance. I want to have the source. Outermost. Oops. Prefab asset route, not an instance. This is the one I want. So I want this one. Prefab asset. Is it type? Accessible from scripting. Yes, that's what I want. The method will turn null if the given object is not part of a this includes this is the one I want. I want the prefab asset route. But how do I get to that? How to get a reference to prefab asset route. Get, that's not it. instance. So let's try this one. Okay, maybe I should add the debugger. So I just need to get a reference to the... Oh, I can do like this. I can in a moment, but anyway. So, come on. Can I just unload scene and load scene? There we go. So, regular, yes, path. See, this is the right one. So this is the path. Here you can see. This is the path to the actual prefab. Okay, so that is good. Now we're pointing at something. So now we have the path to it. So maybe I can somehow get a reference to that this way. The method returns null if the part is null. Okay. So how do we get? So now we have have the path to the prefab. Why can't we just get a freaking reference? Isn't there something like asset asset database? Path to grid. But why can't we just get okay, let's see why I'm getting asset did we get asset that's path not this one. Load prefab. Okay. Load prefab contents. Okay. So do we have that or what? Load prefab. Ho. Why don't they just freaking made a prefab asset reference? Why didn't they just made a method that did this freaking thing? Okay, let's try again here. Boom. Come on. Yes, Gonako. I got the actual prefab reference. It has it from the prefab that I spawned in scene. Get corresponding from source. I got the actual prefab reference with this one. Yeah, I can try. But let me just try this one first here. Come on. That's not the one. Fences, come on. Come on. That validate thing have to run. Oh no. I pressed the shortcut for doing a build. Not good. Not good. Fuck. But yes, get the corresponding object from source. Yeah, it also sounds very... We try that one next. While it's doing this thing. Let's see. But now I just pressed the freaking shortcut for making a build, so now it's starting doing all sorts of crazy things. But hey, you can't stop it. Stop. So we just wait until Unity thinks that it wanna stop. And I don't know where the... Maybe there. Scroll. No. No. I don't know where the... Normally there's this... not scroll lock, the break button. But I don't know where it is. And I think you can push that dark. I don't know where that is on my keyboard. And it's always when you think, oh, now I have it now, and then I freaking press Shift Control B, which is the shortcut for build in Visual Studio, and it's just a habit of just pressing that. But don't do that in Unity, because then it will build your game. And right now nothing happens because it's just... Yeah, maybe I could. But it's very rare I do this. But look at this shit. Shut down now. And now it's most likely very sad when it gets back up. Anyway, let's see. It's not like we're in a hurry. Okay, so we are back here. We are in here. Let's just try this one. Just now we are at it. So let's do this, and let's go in here, and then let's Yeah, it breaks. Okay, let's see. Very exciting. Let's zoom in a bit. So, what? Okay, that load prefab contents. Loads a okay. Loads a prefab asset of a given path into isolated scene and returns to root. Okay, we don't want to do that because now it's opening a scene. Okay, that's for sure not what we want to do. So let's go with Granako style and see if that works. Build and let's just make a little like that and then attach and then we go back. Now you should stop with that stuff. But we are also playing in code that runs in the editor, so it might be fair enough that it's a little weird. And now I think this open prefab content, now that I was reading it, I think it's opening a scene with that one, and we don't want to do that for all the scripts in the game. So I think it's like opening 300 scenes now. But hey, let's just take it down again. Or maybe it crashed by itself or whatever. Hello. Okay. I mean, come on. Yeah. Men altså. I can't even close it in. Okay, here it is. Now I found it. No, I see it quickly, but then it goes away. What the? So the Unity, what? I only see the Unity hub. Okay, here it is, the editor. Boom. Enter. Whew. That's it. Okay, perfect. Let's go up again. Up again. In again. Yeah, I turned my computer into a prefab. But it's just like, yes, it's a lot of time spending on this, but compared to the time I need to spend setting up all of this and all modders need to do manually every time they make a mod and do stuff. So it's well spent this time making this work somewhat automatically. Okay, so you say that you get back a reference. See, it's null. Okay, it's null maybe because this is the one. This is the prefab. So we just have to do some findings. Okay, so here it is. Okay, so the first one was actually, and this is an instance, you can see 70, I don't know if you can see it, but it's 75. What? So this is the one we are on, 75. So that is an instance. And for this one, we actually get back the root one. This seems to be the right one. Okay. But we set it wrong on the prefab, so that might be a problem. So I think what happens now is that all of these have had their no. Okay. let's see if we go in here. So here it says to 0 because it's itself. So we need to figure out how to identify that this is actually the root itself. Get corresponding object from source. But it's a weird name and there's no explanation. What? Get asset path. Ah. But I just looked it up. I didn't see that. See, this is basically the one I want, I guess. But anyway, but I do agree. It looks like this one gets the right one. The problem is that it can be null if it's on the prefab itself or if it's on something that doesn't have a prefab. The problem is that if it's null, the root prefab is set to is set to null, and we don't want to have that on the prefab itself. But okay, for now, let's just do a quick one here. It's not correct, but if this one is null, again, this doesn't hold up, but right now it does, but it doesn't. So, oops. So this doesn't really hold up, but the type. Okay, wait a second. Maybe we can. The type tells us something. So this is a regular, and this is not the root. So this is a normal one. So here we get in here, and we actually get the reference to the right one. So that's good. So let's run into until we get in here. So now we are on the actual prefab, it seems like. And now the type is not a prefab. No. Okay, there must be some other methods for finding that one, but at least another prefab, we get that when we are actually on the prefab. Then we get that it's not a prefab. Would it be too hard to say that this was a type prefab root or prefab asset or something like that? Okay, let's see. Again, now we did some. So here we go. No, that's not right. We don't want to have it like that. So all of these are right now, are correct. It's not perfect, but let's see if it works. So we want to check that this is not. So it haven't added it to this list. This is the default prefab list. We don't want it added there. We want these to have references to this one. And now you can also see, whoops. Now you can also see that it's actually referencing the right one here. So I think it might work now. But let's see. So that was here, and then let's open up this one. We can also see it in the chat here that the network prefab. So we can see all of these objects here. 82, 159, blah blah. All of them have their network prefab set to this one, which is the right root prefab. But I will, if this works, it's just a matter of me playing around with these methods to figure out how to identify the network, the prefab itself, and then set that one to itself, and then yeah. I know. I'm losing all the viewers. This is hardcore. But that's how it is. That is how it is. It's not easy. Yeah, exactly. Make it work. Exactly. Exactly. So host still works. That was kind of expected. Now we join from the client and we see, and while it's loading, let's check that it's not, we don't have it in here, so that's perfect. So let's see. Damn it. So let me see. Debug list on perfect. See, why are they added all of these? I don't think we can do this dynamically. It's so freaking annoying. Oops. So why is it adding all these? Let's try and see something here. So let's try and go here. And then let's start up a host. I just want to see what it finds here. I want to see what prefab here. But I'm pretty sure it's doing a reference to itself. And again, I remember because back in the days when I tried to make this work first, I ran into the same problems. And it is something in Unity when something is referencing itself. Yeah, here's the problem. So this is 99, and the prefab reference goes to itself. Woohoo! Why? Nobody knows. And as I said, this logic here that we do here cannot be run at runtime. It only works in the editor. This is a, if we go into this one, we can see, or maybe we can't. Yeah, you can see it's in the editor namespace. So we can't do this as runtime. Freaking hell. Okay. Okay, let's Google. Unity. How to have reference to own prefab on prefab. This one. Yeah, I have a prefab with a reference to itself in a component. That is exactly what we want to have. That is what we are looking for too. My prefab is when I instance this prefab, The my preferences point to the instance instead of the prefab. Is the expected behavior? Blah blah blah. It's from 2016. Perfect. Yeah, but that's not what he means. Will hold the prefab created, and you can. Yeah, but that's not what you want. If you reference a prefab into itself, no, that's not what we want to do. We don't want to create an instance of it. No, that's not at all what. Odd that here. Apparently this is by design. Why would Wait a second. See, it have the ID of the prefab. I have prefab exception. Yeah, exactly. And apparently that is not possible. And I remember I tried it before because I was taking the same approach and getting to the same ideas. But I don't think these people understand the problem. See, I'm not the only one having this problem. Yeah, but this, yeah, I could make a scriptable object, but then we are back to then I could just, that's what I already have. You know, the approach I have right now is to have a scriptable object, which is the map definition, and the map definition holds a list of these prefabs. So again, I could also just go back to the first idea I had, where I would just want to have a, you know, a right click and then find all the ones in the current one and add to that list, and then it adds all these prefabs to the, yeah, it can work. Just like I did it manually, I can do it at editor time. But it was to avoid that extra click and needing to remember that when you're building a map. Let's see, any problem, any... Yeah, see, ended up using script object. Okay, so maybe I can only do that. Annoying. Okay. It sounds like it cannot be done. So what is this? Serialized reference. Just a second. Okay, back again. Let's see, maybe this is something. As a value. Just a second. Okay, back again, but soon out. Maybe... What if we do like this, and then we do... do this maybe. Oops. I don't know what this is doing, zero references, but let's see. Hello, Solan. List or just scan the resources and find every desirable prefab thingy. No, because no, I can't. Because doing that won't it won't work for not all prefabs are in a resource folder. So for instance, this one is not in a resource folder. I don't want to put everything in resource folder to do this. That shouldn't be needed, really. So let's see. So this one references this one. So these are referencing that. This is this. Just gonna give it a last go now, and then I have to stop streaming because the clock is many. Okay, so let's do like this. But we don't even have to start the client because I can see it on the host already. I think I can see it here. I wish you can select favorites in the fireworks menu. Yes, but all that stuff with the inventory will come when I redo the inventory. I have to redone some of the UI, but I'm awaiting some new thing from Doozy UI that I'm using for the UI. They made kind of a inventory shop thingy, and I hope to be able to use that and hopefully get, you know, search and filters and stuff like that. At least I don't want to spend time doing a lot more with the inventory than I have now until that is finished and I can see what that can help me with. So I don't waste my time on a lot of stuff that I get quicker from them. But the favorite thing is something that has been suggested many times. So it's still adding the wrong one. See, here again, it's pointing to the right one. I'm stopping for now. I'm quitting for now. No, I have to do some other things. I will figure something out. I know how I can get it work. I can make it work by making that right click thing and add it to the map definition. But yeah, and maybe that's how I have to end up doing it, because I can't apparently make a reference to a prefab on an instance of that prefab. What can I do? But anyway, thank you for being here for 2.5 hours of just a pure raw game dev streaming. And now I'm out. No, it's not a Unity issue. You can see from 2019, it's by design. So yeah. For your fireworks mania, I love fireworks. I have more than 50 hours. Oh, cool! Thank you. But follow full Sasa mode because I not often, but I do stream from time to time, showing things up what I'm working on. So yeah, feel free to follow or subscribe on YouTube or whatever. But I'm out for now. See you.